Welcome to our Wednesday webinar series. We're going to be talking about BookWidgets inside Google Classroom, the perfect content creation tool for you and your users. I hope that you find our session rewarding and valuable for you. Just a information about Kate and myself. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into what we're going to be doing in our session today. If you don't have the Google Classroom extension widgets, I would encourage you to grab that today. Kate is going to be placing the link to the Google Classroom Chrome extension into your BookWidgets chat here inside Zoom. If you are part of the teaching and learning, you won't need the Chrome extension, you'll be using the add-on, but today's session will be focusing on the Google Classroom Chrome extension. This is what your Google Classroom looks like. And once you have that Chrome extension enabled, you'll find it right up here in your toolbar. And you'll notice that we have Create Assignments, which is our content creation component, Live Widgets, which is the monitoring component, and the Grades and Reporting, which is the feedback and grading dashboard. Before we dive into content creation inside Google Classroom, I want to give you a few examples of what you can do with BookWidgets. This, of course, is the BookWidgets direct landing page using that bookwidgets.com URL. And you can see on that left-hand side toolbar, we have that live mode, grades and reporting, just like we saw in the Chrome extension. Information about your account here as well, and our widgets page. So this is our BookWidgets landing page if you're creating content not inside that Google Classroom. I want to show you some really great things that you can do with BookWidgets. This is an example of a worksheet that you can create inside Google Classroom or as a standalone. And you'll notice right away that a worksheet is a scrolling page of questions. So it's like a never-ending piece of paper. And I love this animals activity because it shows you an example of every single question type that's available in BookWidgets. Some of my favorite question types are the drag and drop. And what I love about the drag and drop is you can include a word bank, or you can also, you'll see in just a minute, that you can have a drag and drop activity, a fill in the blank activity without a word bank. Multiple choice types of questions, annotate pictures. And because this is your own content that you're creating, you can really make it as difficult or challenging for your students as you would like. Here we have a drawing board where students can do freeform drawing. You can also add stickers here. So a lot of times I hear people say, oh, this is only for low-level students. You can create questions that are as high level or as low level as you'd like because you are the one creating the content. We even have a pre-recorded webinar that you can access on our YouTube site, which shows you how to import content either from a PDF, a Word document, vendor materials that you may have. So I want you to know that you don't have to start from scratch. If you already have created content, you can dive in and add it right into BookWidgets. Look, I'm only at question number 23. So much that you can choose from as you create content using the BookWidgets platform. Make sure you reach out to us if you have questions on how to create content or look through our support or our YouTube tutorials. Here's another example of an activity that I enjoy, which is a split worksheet. You'll notice here I can move my split worksheet to make one side as large or as small as I want. And I can put the content on any side that I want. So if I wanted this PDF on the left-hand side, I definitely could customize that. And on this split worksheet where my PDF is, I could also add rich text or anything else that I'd like to add here. And then I have questions that my students will interact with. So this is the same questions that were available for me to select from in the worksheet. This time, it just happens to be a split worksheet. I love also a split whiteboard. So here I can have some instructions for my students, and then I can come over to the whiteboard and my students draw on that whiteboard. I will tell you, I'm a world language teacher, and oftentimes I have my students pair up. I have one student read the instructions and the other student do the drawing, whether it's in English or French, Latin. We don't do too much of that in Latin, Spanish for sure. Another really great content creation activity that we have here is a video quiz widget. Here you can see I have some instructions. My students would press the button to continue to the video. They can watch the video.
You're in line at the grocery store when, someone sneezes.
And then when they get to a cue point or a stopping point, questions pop up. And the students will be able to answer those questions. You'll see here that we are not limited to just a few questions. We have lots of different question types that the students can select from in this video quiz. Full transparency, I'm being joined by my favorite student, my cat. So if you happen to see a tail go across the screen, yes, that's her. She always seems to know when I'm doing a webinar. And then finally, I want to let you know that we have our BookWidgets blog. Please make sure that you check out the blog. Every we have in any of our blog posts is available for you to duplicate. And I'll be showing you that group for that BookWidgets blog. So please make sure that you take advantage of joining our blog. And as Kate said, a lot of you indicated that you would be joining the Facebook group as well. I want to let you know, just like all of you here, BookWidgets is being used by teachers from all over the world. Make sure that you join them and collaborate with them so you can be part of our BookWidgets community. The tools that we have inside BookWidgets allow you to easily tailor engaging content and exercises for your students, provide comprehensive feedback. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started with what we're doing with the Google Classroom Chrome extension. Any questions, Kate, before I dive in?
Nope, we're all good, Cheryl.
Perfect, thank you. So I want to go ahead and show you that I am at the Google Classroom landing page. So nothing has changed except I've added in my Chrome extension. And the first thing that we're going to do, of course, inside Google Classroom is create an assignment. The point of adding the Chrome extension is that you're in one place. You'll notice that I had lots of tabs open when I was showing you around BookWidgets. I wanted you to see everything. But using this Chrome extension for you and for your students, it's really great because you have one tab open, and that's your Google Classroom tab. I'm going to select the Create Assignment tab right here at the top. And when I select that Create Assignment tab, it's going to ask me to log into my account. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And now I'm going to be able to create directly inside my Google Classroom. You'll see I have this small pop-up that's loaded inside my Google Classroom. And this is where all of the activities that you create will be. And this is my BookWidgets landing page. So BookWidgets has opened up inside Google Classroom. I'm going to create a new widget. If you already had something created, you would select and choose it. But I'm going to create a new widget because Kate mentioned there's a lot of new users here, and I'd like you to see how to create content. So I'm going to select this button, Create New Widget, and you'll notice These are all of the widgets that you have to select from. I know you're super excited. Look at all of these choices. I will let you know that the top widgets here in green are our most used widgets. But when you have time, I really would encourage you to explore the games widgets, my favorites, the pictures and videos widgets, also the customizable math widgets that are here, as well as our third-party and miscellaneous widgets. So I'm going to hop up and I'm going to select a worksheet. You might be saying, what are those icons next to the word worksheet, Cheryl? These icons tell you if the widget will be auto-graded for you, which for me is huge. I want BookWidgets to do the grading for me. So I see here that the sheet will be auto-graded for me. And then this video camera means that it will support live monitoring. Live monitoring is so awesome because it allows you to see what your students are doing in real time. Whether you're in a face-to-face classroom or a virtual classroom or a remote classroom, the ability to see what your students are doing live is really awesome. So I'm going to choose a worksheet which has both of those options. I'm going to click on worksheet, and now I'm at my editor or my creation dashboard. And my first hint for you, my first tip for you is always to work from top to left to right. So let's give our activity a name. I'm going to do some jungle animals today. You can provide a description if you like, but it's not necessary. Oftentimes in the description, I'll include a date. I might include a standard if you use standards or standard assessment for your classroom. Your students do not see that description, they just see the title. And then this about section, I love to use the about section because it's visible only to me. And you'll see I have a rich text editor here. And oftentimes I put a link to my lesson plan, or if I have any other information that I want to have easily and readily accessible. So a link to my teacher's guide or a link to standards maybe for my state. So anything that you want to put here is also only visible to you, and you click that done, and now that's available for you. Oftentimes too, if I'm going to share, I put my name here so that people can credit me. So if I'm going to share something with Kate, I say created by Cheryl, and then Kate knows that she can credit me if she also shares this. Now I want to get down to questions. So remember what I said, we're going to work from top to bottom, left to right. We've provided our title for assignment, and let's add our first question. So we're going to follow the blue line and click add a question. And here, once again, you're going to see I had over 40 widget templates to choose from. And now I have all of those question types, just like I showed you on the animals worksheet. I'm going to choose one of my favorite questions, which is the annotate picture. So I'm going to select annotate picture. And here, when you have the question, it's the instructions or what you want your students to do. So I'm going to remind my students that I would like to label the names of the animals in English. We could say label them in French, or we could ask them to complete a diagram, but I'm just going to ask my students to label the animals. You'll notice here I have a little eye, a little info bar. If you ever want more information, you can click that eye that you see throughout the dashboard to get more information. Also, if you want to add that rich text, you have that here as well. Now I need to add my background picture, and you're probably thinking, oh, she's going to have to go to her desktop or her drive and get the picture. The great news is BookWidgets provides for you the Pixabay image library. So right inside Google Classroom, notice I haven't left Google Classroom yet. I'm going to use my Pixabay image search and search for some jungle animals. Here I can see that I have lots of different animals that I can choose from. You can even, oftentimes, not all the time, but you can even limit it by saying that you want just clip art and look for only clip art. That didn't give me my clip art for my jungle animals. So I'm going to go back to my jungle animals and search for them and find just the perfect image that I want for my students. If you don't see what you want, you can select load more, and you can see even more selections that you can choose from. So lots of different images and pictures directly inside Google Classroom that you can use for your students. You, of course, can also search for an image on your drive or from your saved files. So however you would like to do that, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm going to choose an animal, and I was looking for an image that had more than one animal, and I don't see anything that really is interesting for me, but that's all right. I'm going to go ahead and select my tigers. Right? Now that I've selected my tigers, you can see that that image is brought in quickly and easily. I didn't have to copy and paste. I don't have to worry about any of the licensing or annotating it. Let's just take a look and see what it looks like. I'm going to click my preview button, and now I can see that I have my title, label, and my image. Now you have two X's here. This small X will take you back to the editor. The larger X will exit you out of content creation. So make sure you choose this small X. It will bring us right back to where we were creating content, and we're going to go ahead and add our input field. So I'm going to add my input field. I'm going to click on the picture where I want it, and I'm going to say that this is a tiger. So I'm going to put my bullseye right on top of him, and then I want you to watch. I'm going to click. I'm not going to drag and drop. I'm just going to click, and I can see this is my input field that my students are going to be using to add the information about the animal. I can disable that marker if I want to, but in this instance, I want my students to be able to see that marker, and I'm going to click done. And now I need to put in what the correct answer is, because if I don't put in the correct answer, BookWidgets won't grade it for me. And that's part of the magic of BookWidgets, is creating content to save time for yourself so BookWidgets will grade it. So I'm going to put in tiger, and now you'll notice I'm using a double hashtag, because I like to think of, would my students answer this question any other way? Some of my students might say a tiger, so I'm going to put in this double hashtag. And what the double hashtag does is it sends a signal to BookWidgets that I will accept more than one answer. So when my students answer this question, they can put in tiger or a tiger. Ahead and add another input field. And this time we've been practicing both the male and the female. So I'm going to put tigress, my double hashtag, a tigress. And you can do that in any order that you want. You'll notice the first time I did my input fields. This time now I'm going to do the correct answer with my field. And just because I like everything all lined up, I'm going to do my input fields along the left-hand side here so that my students aren't searching around the image for where they're going to enter that data. I'm going to select done. If you're like me, I never believe it's going to work, so I always select that preview again, and I look and see, do I like how this looks? Yes, I like how these are lined up. I like how my students can see it. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and click that small X. I've finished my first question. We're going to come back and we're going to add a second question. So I'm going to use this back arrow. And you can see here that I have add a second question. So I'm going to add a second question. And in my second question, I'm going to do a matching activity. Now, I just want to tell you that you don't have to scroll through. You can use the filter button and you can come up here, and when you start typing, it will give you some ideas of what BookWidgets thinks you're looking for. I'm going to do an audio and a word match. So I'm going to select this audio word match question. I'm going to say, match what you hear to the correct word. So the question, once again, is where you're going to put your instructions or what you want your students to do. Don't forget you have that rich text editor. Now I'm going to provide my pairs, and in this instance, the audio will always be on the left and the words or the sentences will always be on the right. And here's the great thing. When I talk to you about amping up the difficulty level, notice here you can add distractors. So adding a distractor would mean that you have an extra piece of audio without a match or an extra word without a match. So you are able to add those distractors as you'd like. So once again, I'm going to follow that blue button. I'm going to click add, and this is really important. When students get their work back, they will not receive the audio because we don't want them sharing the audio with other classmates. So it's important that you put in an audio description here. So I'm going to be recording the word lion. So I'm going to add that audio description here. I'm going to select my audio fragment. And you'll notice once again, you have those options, but I like staying right inside Google Classroom. So I'm going to record right inside Google Classroom a lion. I can listen to see if I like my recording. Oh, press my mute button. A lion, there we go. I like it, so I'm going to go ahead and select accept. My audio recording is uploaded right here. And on this side, I'm going to have the word lion. Let's go ahead and add another one. Crocodile. Accept. Put in my match, and you'll notice I'm doing these in the correct order. BookWidgets will randomize them for you. Let's go ahead and do one more. Monkey. Monkey. You'll notice when I press that record button, I pause just a little bit to make sure the beginning of my recording is not cut off, so I don't have to record it again. So now I have my three distractors here for my matching. Now remember what I said, I can add a distractor. So I'm just going to record some audio. Elephant. But in this instance, I'm not going to add anything on the right-hand side. I'm going to leave that blank. Let me show you what that looks like. So here you have 4 audio, but only 3 words. So this amps up that difficulty level a little bit. If you have students who you want to make it a little bit difficult. I noticed that to fix this, super easy. I can come right back up to the instructions and correct anything that needs to be corrected. I also want to scroll down, and I want to show you that there's so many other options here as you're creating those questions. Make sure that you take a look at all of these other options, especially the hint. I love the hint option, which is where you can add some support for your students. I want you to think about how you might want to customize or provide accommodations for students So maybe you could have this widget with no accommodations. You could duplicate that widget and then provide some accommodations for students with disabilities or emerging bilingual students that you might add here in the hint. And then also super important, I want you to make sure you take a look at the correction and scoring options. The correction and scoring options are important so that you have everything set up perfectly for the grades to go directly to your students in Google Classroom. You'll notice here that the scoring weight is 1, and you might think, oh, you have 3 options, Cheryl, you need to change that to 3. In this instance, no. You'll notice here that it will tell you that this is the score multiplier. So however many questions you have, each question will be worth 1 point. So in this case, it's worth 3 points, might come out to 4 because we have this, oh, look at that, I need to fix elephant. This is the great thing. Remember how you used to have to go back to the copy machine and recopy everything because you found a typo after you copied everything? Here with our digital worksheet, look, I just fixed it and away it goes. So I just wanted to highlight those scoring weights, those correction and scoring options for you. And once again, that's customized for every single question type. Let's do one more question type. And I'm going to choose a question type this time that I have to grade. Because I teach world languages and English, I need to see what my students can write, how they can compose things. So I'm going to ask them to write a well-developed paragraph. I can't type and talk at the same time. I'm going to tell them that I want it to be 5 sentences long. And I want them to describe their favorite jungle animal. I'm also going to ask them to include 2 adjectives because we've been working on adjectives. So here now I see that my students are going to need to create a 5-sentence paragraph, and it needs to have 2 adjectives. So remember those correction and scoring options I told you about? This entire question is worth 1 point. Well, I'm asking my students to write, so I'm going to change it this time, and I'm going to change this to 5. You can customize this to any weight that you want, but I'm going to change this to 5 because I'm asking my students to write sentences. So let's take a look. I always like to take a look at everything. So let's take a look and see what this looks like. So I have my label my animals, matching what my students are here, and then my paragraph. And you can see that my students have their rich text options as well. So everything totally set up for my students. Now I know you're going to create an activity that's more than 3 questions long, but I want to make sure that I show you everything that we have in BookWidgets. So I'm just going to do those 3 questions. You may be asking yourself, hey Cheryl, how come you've never pressed the save button? In BookWidgets, there is no save button. Everything is saved approximately every 5 seconds. So you don't have to worry about losing data. Everything is saved for you directly inside BookWidgets. Now, before we share, I want to go ahead and take a look at a couple of other tabs. So we looked at the About tab and we looked at the Questions tab. Let's take a look at the Reporting tab. The Reporting tab is simply, do I want my students to send the answers to me? Or is this an activity where my students are working on their own and practicing, and I don't necessarily need to see their answers? And remember, this will come to me directly inside Google Classroom. You can select to receive work via email, but you are using your Google Classroom Learning Management System. So let's go ahead and send it through our Learning Management System. You're going to either check, enable submitting of answers, or uncheck. So of course, in this instance, I want to see my students' answers. If I only want my students to be able to submit once, remember we have that resubmit button inside Google Classroom, then I would check that off as well. And don't forget, you have your information always hidden under that I tab. I also like to highlight here for you exam mode. Exam mode tells me the time it took a student to complete this activity. And it provides a countdown timer for the student so that the student can see a timer, how much time they have remaining. When the timer expires, the test will lock and the student will need to submit their work, whether they are finished or not. And the widget will remain locked until they press that submit button. So the exam mode is not a lockdown browser that would prevent students from opening up other tabs. It's really just a timer. I will tell you that I use exam mode a lot because my students sometimes spend too much time on an activity. And I have parents or students say, Mrs. Place, I spent an hour on that activity and it was something that I only expected them to spend 20 minutes on. So I set up a ritual and routine with my students and I say to them, it's not an exam, it's just a countdown timer that will help you stay on track. And you'll notice if you enable that exam timer, you can customize the amount of time that your students will be able to spend on that activity. You can also allow them to reset the timer, but if you're going to put on the exam timer for the purpose of limiting time, I don't think that's something that you would want to do unless you have students with disabilities who have extended time. Let's take a look at what happens when I enable exam mode. So the preview, when I click this preview button, it always shows me what my students are going to see. And you'll notice right away, this timer is here. Some of my students are like, that freaks me out. So you can make it go away just by clicking on it. And you just have this circle that slowly moves to show how much time has elapsed. So if this is something that you think would be useful for your students, I encourage you to use it. I'm going to turn that off for now. And I'm going to come down to the General tab. The General tab is really where you want to spend some time because this is really going to help you speed up grading and feedback for your students. Spend the time at the beginning as you're learning book widgets. This is going to save you so much valuable time. Correction and scoring options. Do I want my students to see whether the answers are correct or incorrect? Once again, it depends on the activity that you're choosing. And once again, this is totally customizable. I usually don't show correct and incorrect answers on summative and formative assessments because by the time I get to 8th period, my students are geniuses. So it depends on the activity that you have. If it's just for review, yes, I'd like them to see the answers right away. I can color code answers, whether they're correct or incorrect, and you'll notice once again, customizable for every question. BookWidgets is about you. It's not about us. It's about how we can make your life easier. Do I want to show the points associated with each question? Remember, my paragraph had 5 points. Do I want to show the quiz score? What's the questions we always get? Not what did I learn? What's my score? What's my score, right? Sometimes I don't turn that on. I want them to look at their learning. Totally customizable for you. This, I really want you to take a look at this idea of feedback. So we can provide feedback based on a percentage score achieved. So I'm going to add some feedback here. And if my student scores 100% or lower, right now it's 100% or lower, I'm going to give them this feedback. And you could say, awesome job. Here, you can guide them somewhere. You could say 100%, here's a fun game to play, and you could insert a link right here. I can highlight this link, And I could insert a URL to Cool Math Games or Lyrics Learning or some fun game that I wanted my student to, have fun with. Not some extra work because they got 100%, because that's no fun. I'm going to then add feedback, and this time I'm going to change the 100 to 80. For me, in the district that I work in, 80 is the lowest amount of proficiency. So I'm going to remind my student that they have reached proficiency. Maybe remind them to continue to practice to improve. You can insert an image. You have all sorts of things. You can insert a video. So you have everything here that you can do to customize this feedback. So now by adding my 80, anything from 80 to 99 will have this message. And anything that's a perfect score, 100, would have the other message. I could add one more piece of feedback, and it doesn't have to be even numbers. You can, do any number that you want. So this is not proficient. Maybe I might remind them that we have tutoring. Remind them that they have tutoring. I could insert the schedule here. The idea is feedback is immediate. So as soon as the student presses submit, they're going to get some immediate, meaningful feedback. They don't have to wait for you to collect the papers, sort the papers, get your pen, go home. It's immediate and meaningful feedback for the student. Now, of course, remember, in my jungle animals, my last question, I have to grade myself. So I always have the students who send me the message in Google Classroom, and I remind them, don't forget, I need your last question. Don't panic about your grade yet. So you might even want to include, that in your rationale or your hint or somewhere in your activity. So make sure, especially for those of you who are brand new, that you really spend some time on reporting and general as you set up your activity. So let's preview it one more time. Here's everything I want. Here's my submit button. All right, perfect. I'm ready now to share my widget with my students. So I'm going to press my share button. I could press my close button and go back to my editor, but I'm going to press my share button. Before I navigate away from here too, I want to show you a couple of other things. Remember how I told you that you can import content that you already have? Right here. It's hiding right here under the cogwheel. A CSV, a document, even from another widget. I'm going to press share. And now the magic of BookWidgets is processing my widget, making sure everything is in perfect order. I'm still inside Google Classroom. I haven't left Google Classroom. I'm going to select my course. My course is English Language Arts. I'm going to add a due date. My due date is going to be tomorrow. And my due date is always at midnight. You'll notice that this is the Google platform assignment page, so you can totally customize this. And any optional instructions, these are the instructions not from BookWidgets, but the instructions that will appear on the Google page. So I might say to them, please complete this BookWidgets assignment. Now I'm ready to send it to Google Classroom, or if I've customized this activity, for example, my students with disabilities, I would save a draft so that I could assign it to those students. But in this instance, I'm going to send this activity to Google Classroom. Your students will receive a message that they have an activity from their teacher, so everything is exactly Classroom. Remember, you can totally customize BookWidgets and you can still customize your Google Classroom page. Now I want to show you what this looks like for the student. So I'm going to navigate to my student page. Here is Alex. You can see Alex is logged in, and Alex is going to go to English Language Arts, and she can see right here it says due tomorrow. Jungle Animals is due tomorrow. If you give me just a minute, I want to come here and I want to see if I can minimize this. Give me just 1 minute, because what I want to do is I want to show you both Alex's work and my work at the same time. Do you remember I talked to you about live mode? I want to show that to you. So let's do make this a little bit smaller so you can see Alex's work. Here's my Chrome extension. I'm going to select live widget. This is the game changer for me. Prompted to log in, that's all right. When you select live widgets, you're going to be taken to this live widgets page in your Google Classroom. I happen to be in English Language Arts, so I'm going to click on English Language Arts, and look at this. It tells me that somebody opened up Jungle Animals 5 days ago. Now I'm going to click on Alex's assignment. Alex is going to click on her assignment, and I want you to see when we come into live mode, I'm going to be able to watch Alex working on her assignment in real time. She's going to open up Jungle Animals, and Alex is going to be able to see her assignment. Here's her assignment. And did you see? It jumped in right there. It showed me somebody new has come into your assignment. There it is, less than a minute ago. I can open up as the teacher, and I'm going to tell you, this was such a game changer for me. I had a class of 45 students, just not tripping over book bags and water bottles and track shoes and lacrosse sticks was a challenge for me. And so being able to click on the assignment, oh, Alex is in my assignment. How is Alex doing? What? She hasn't answered anything yet? I can keep an eye on my students. Now, of course, I know that your class will have more name here. All of your students who are in this class will be here. Now watch as Alex works. So Alex is on her first question, and she knows that this is a tiger, right? Oh, look at that. Immediately, it tells me that Alex has answered one question correctly out of 2. Alex is going to come here and say 2 tigers. And we're going to be able to see that Alex doesn't have this correct. And if I needed to, I would be able to come in, take a look at Alex. Look, it's already corrected. The red pen already corrected this work. I hope you really take advantage of all that BookWidgets has to offer you, because for me, this is just a total game changer. Alex is going to go on to matching what she hears. A lion. Okay, so she's going to match up her lion and watch, right? Okay. Crocodile. Going to match her crocodile. And I can, once again, click in and see how Alex is doing. Why is this important? I'm thinking of a math teacher, history teacher. If the student is getting every question wrong, I might want to help them a little bit, provide them some extra support before they complete the activity and everything is wrong. If I see that Alex is sitting on this activity and 20 minutes have passed, maybe she's struggling with something. So, reach out and say, how can I help you? Now I want to show you here, I have by student and by question. So on the same page in live mode, I can either look at all of my students, or I can look by question. And when I look by question, I have this little navigation arrow that allows me to go on to the next question. I can see that Alex hasn't done any writing here. She's going to finish up her matching. I'm going to go down to her essay. Watch. So she's going to say that she likes a monkey And do you notice on the left-hand side, while she is working, I can see exactly what she's doing. So I notice here she has some misspellings, she has missing some capitalization. I could walk over to her desk in a face-to-face environment and say, hey, don't forget your grammar and mechanics. Or in the virtual classroom, I could send a little message. And then when Alex is all done, what is she going to do? She's going to press the submit button. Now, I want to tell you that when Alex presses that submit button, and I'm going to make her page big now, I really hope that you like that live mode. For me, that is one of the most exciting parts of BookWidgets, as well as the auto grading, because it's going to save so much time. So Alex is inside BookWidgets, and you'll notice she never left Google Classroom. She's going to press submit. Now, when Alex presses submit, it's going to submit the work to BookWidgets that says, I have finished my work. So it's going to tell us that the quiz was sent successfully to Alex. Look at this. Do you remember that immediate feedback? Alex didn't do so well. So she has that feedback. Now, we do need to remember that I need to grade her 5-sentence paragraph. Alex clicks OK. She can see immediately, because I marked to show the answers correct or incorrect. Oh, she didn't get monkey correct, that this was the correct. And of course, I still need to grade her paragraph. But this is a really important piece of work here. Make sure that the students have the turned in option here. If you added more than one assignment, like you had them do something from BookWidgets and you had attached something else, you want to make sure that once they're complete the entire lesson, the entire work, that they press that turn in button. So now I'm going to leave Alex and I'm going to come back to my work. I'm going to come back up to my Chrome extension and I'm going to select grades and reporting because Alex has submitted her work. I'm going to come to grades and reporting and I need to sign in because I'm navigating between that student and that teacher. So we're going to come to my English Language Arts class. Look right here. I can see the last activity. Here's Jungle Animals. So once again, I have my grading dashboard by class, recent submissions, and I can see all my shared results. If you have a co-teacher, you can even share those results with your co-teacher. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to look at this submission from Alex on Jungle Animals. I can see my average score, and this is great data that you can share with a department head, a colleague, an administrator. I can see individual student work, reminding me that I still need to grade this. And I can see some statistics here, which will provide me the mean, the median, the maximum, the minimum scores. For me, I have just one student. For you, of course, you would see much more robust and rich data. I'm going to look at Alex's work by clicking on her work. And this opens up for me a PDF that I can input content for. I can leave a comment for Alex, and I can remind her what is the difference between these tigers. Encourage her to think a little bit more about them. I can also click and enter a comment specifically about something she's entered. So I can enter a global comment for that question. And if you're like me and you make a typo, you just fix it. Or I can make a comment just about one item here. If I wanted to adjust the score, I could adjust the score. In this instance, I'm not going to. Here we can see, all right, here's my activity that my student did. Let's continue to work. And now I'm going to take a look at paragraph. You needed 5 sentences and 2 adjectives. So I have 3 sentences. I have 1 adjective. Maybe if I want to remind her that this is spelled monkey, I can provide that for her. And now I need to enter a grade. She's really new to my class, so I'm going to give Alex a 3 out of 5 on this assignment. So remember, she originally had, I think it was a 4 out of 5. This is going to update her work automatically once I enter that score. Once I enter my 3 out of 5, you can see my score has updated automatically. So now she has a total of 6 out of 11 for the entire. While we're here, I want to show you these buttons across the top. We have a filter button, which if you have a large group of students, allows you to filter out all of the correct answers. If you're like me, I read everything. So hiding the correct answers is a big help. You can download the work as if you need to send it to a parent or share it with a parent. This is where we read the work. This button returns the work individually. I'm also going to show you where you can return to everybody at once. What the student view looks like. What did Alex submit to me? Download the student version, archive, and of course, delete. We rarely want to use that delete button. So now I've graded Alex's work. I can use this return button to return the work to her, but I also want to show you this cogwheel. You can use this cogwheel if you have a large class, select all, and you can then return everybody's work with the click of a button. So it really depends on how you're grading work. Sometimes you want to return individually to students as soon as you finish grading. Sometimes you want to return that work all at once. So in this instance, I'm going to come back to my grading dashboard. I'm going to come to my English Language Arts class, Jungle Animals. Here's Alex's work, and I'm going to use this button to return the work to Alex. So I'm going to return that work. It says the student will be able to see your feedback. I'm not going to send them their work via email. I work inside Google Classroom, so I just press that return button. And now I've returned that work to Alex. And this is what Alex will see. Any of the comments that I've made, any of the work that I've done for her, any of the corrections. Let's come back to Alex's work. Pull that up quickly. Get this out of the way. I have so many things at the bottom of my toolbar. Here's Alex's work. We're back in the student view for Alex, and she's going to be able to view their work and see your feedback right away. So we're going to come and click on her work. Notice here it says your work. We're going to click on the activity. Here, Alex can see all of her work, and I don't have so that she will be able to submit more than once, but she wants to be able to see my comments. So we're going to come to her Jungle Animals, and here are my comments. Notice she can't change anything. This is just the activity for her to take a look at. So she receives, I call this a flat PDF. She receives this flat PDF can take a look at. So remember, here's her work, and here's the work that she will receive that's graded. If I allowed multiple submissions, she could submit again. Nothing has changed inside Google Classroom for the student. So students are able to view their work and work quickly, seamlessly, and easily, all inside Google Classroom. And the important thing for you is to make sure that you install that Chrome extension. Now that you've seen all that BookWidgets has to offer, I'm wondering how you might use it in your classroom. I hope you're excited, just as excited as I was when I BookWidgets in my classroom. I want you to think about how you might use it for flipped learning or blended learning, individualized instruction, really to provide support for, I call them my Pop-Tarts, my students who are always asking for a challenge, or my bench warmers. Also that you can use this in any environment, whether it's face-to-face, hybrid, or remote. I want you to really see the customization of book widgets.